The course welcome and looked at my Mr. A contact info, and you're currently working on the course orientation. How does Spanish 1 work? Well, after you've completed all the goals inside, then we're going to be able to move on to the big major themes of this year. So in the very first one, you're going to see Lección 1, Hola, ¿qué tal? And inside, there's a whole plethora of things that we need to study in order to give you guys a basis and a background for Spanish. So we're going to learn the nuts and bolts of the language, such as the highs and bys. And of course, the alphabet. Can't spell your own name to a future employer if you don't know how to do your ABCs. Then everything's predicated on a lot of grammar in the very first unit. So we're going to have to learn how to do a noun and an article, like the boy versus a boy in Spanish. Have to be able to count how many boys there are in your class. Are there 20 boys or are there just 10? And then we'll work on to something more personal called the subject pronouns, such as, I'm going to the movies, will you go with me? Oh, I can't, but maybe John can. He has some free time right now. And so everything is going to be driven by nouns and adjectives, verbs, and also the subjects who are doing those actions. And then we'll learn about specific verbs like the verb to be, and then we'll also start to use that verb to tell some time. And that'll be the end of chapter 1. That is one of our biggest chapters because you really have no true knowledge about Spanish before now. And so I need to be able to put a lot of good things in your head that are going to form the basic structure of the language for the rest of the school year. And then we'll be able to go on to other topics. Your second big one that we're going to study then is going to be talk about the classroom and your schedules. Like, what time are you leaving for the game tonight? And at what time do you have your English class? And do you have any homework right now? Oh yeah, I do have a big project for English class. Some of the conversations that you might have at the lunch table or with your parents after school. And then sometime around January, we're going to be doing a midterm exam. Your midterm exam, of course, is going to be for the first half of the year. It consists of everything that we've studied in those first 2 chapters. At the same time, we're going to be practicing something called Apple proficiency testing. And for that, what it is, it's a national corporation that tries to determine where you are in your proficiency level. Sure, you can remember buenos dias and hola, ¿cómo estás? Because we studied those. But then if you really need to put them into a true situation and actually communicate to somebody, like a pen pal or somebody via email, then can you actually put it to use? And so every year we take proficiency tests to try and measure where you guys are at. Just like with Keystones, they want to make sure that you've acquired all the skills necessary to pass algebra and biology and even English. Well, we're doing the same thing. So this is a little in-house test that we've come up with, and then that's going to be part of your midterm. Later on, at the end of the year, we're actually going to take a final using the true Apple testing site. And then you'll have a true knowledge of where you're at the end of the year. Are you still a novice, low? Or are you a novice mid? Or are you just starting to crack the ranks of novice high? After our midterm exams, we're going to move on to some other things and start talking about family. All the different members of your immediate family as well as the extended family. And then we also have to be able to describe those people. Do they have lots of hair? Are they bald? Is it brown hair, red hair, blonde hair? Are they tall? Are they short? Are they have good personality? Are they mean? So ways to describe not only family members but other people in your life would be a very important, crucial element when you first learn to communicate. And finally, we're going to probably end up the year with pastimes, places that you go, things that you might do in your spare time in order to have a well-rounded life. And then again, here's our Apple proficiency test settled for the end of the year. Now, one of the key things that we're going to do this year is on Wednesdays, we'll probably have either a hot seat quiz where you might have a written or verbal component. So I might say, hola, ¿cómo estás? And then you're supposed to reply on maybe linked.com to what I just said. Or if we're not having a hot seat quiz that Wednesday, we might be doing some Duolingo practice. And that's a great website that's based on your own rate and knowledge of the Spanish language. And so you can go faster or slower than your classmates, and it's going to help expose you to language that we might not get to during the course of the school year. Or you might actually see it on Duolingo, and then a month later, you might actually see it coming up on your vocab quizzes. And you're like, oh, thank goodness I was doing my Duolingo, because now I already have that knowledge in my head, and I won't have to study as much. So our class resources are where we're going to go to for a big part of our year, from both the textbook to Senior Wooly. You've probably seen that before, and everything else that we do, it can be found right in that class resources folder. And then when you add all those other components, it should be a pretty awesome school year. So thanks so much for joining me for your orientation, and I hope to see you in class or online really, really soon. Hasta luego!